I'm Kevin Jacobson of Gold Derby here with the legendary Bernadette Peters. She just earned her third Emmy nomination, this time for her guest appearance on Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist. So to start off, could you take us back to Emmy nominations day and sort of hearing about your nomination?
Oh, well, my assistant called me and said, or she texted me, I think. No, she called me. Did you hear anything? And I went, what do you mean, did I hear anything? She said, guess who's nominated for an Emmy? I said, oh, the show, Zoe's Extraordinary. She goes, no, you. I said, me? She goes, yes, you. So it was a lovely, lovely gift, a lovely present.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, technically Zoey's is nominated because of you.
Technically, what?
Technically, Zoey's is nominated because of your
Oh,
nomination.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yes, although they
yeah,
have five nominations,
yes, they do. Very
choreography
deserved.
and music. It's such a wonderful show.
Yeah, well, you first appeared in the first season when you had this great introduction performing Feeling Good. I assume that this was a part that was offered to you, but what made you agree to sign on in the beginning?
You know, it's so funny. I saw the commercials for this show before I was offered it, and I was so excited. I went, "Oh, this show looks so great! I can't wait for it to come on. When is it coming on television? Because it's going to be great. It's a musical. It looks fabulous." And then I was offered to be on it, so that was the extra little gift.
Yeah. Well, you've been in a fair amount of musical projects on film and TV. I'm curious just how much Zoe's differed from other projects in your experience, what the atmosphere was like on set, the production process, if anything stood out to you.
You know, everyone, they couldn't have been lovelier to me. They're so talented. I think it's such a talented cast. Levy and Mary Steenburgen and Alex Newell and Skylar Aston and John Clancy Stewart. I mean, Peter Gallagher. They're so talented and they were just embraced me and they were so loving to me and I just felt so comfortable. And I got to sing these all these songs that I never, would normally sing. And I love music, and I love singing, and I love, doing new things. So I just love doing it so much.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to mention Mary Steenburgen because you share most of your scenes on the show. I mean,
Yeah.
you've been in the industry for around the same amount of time. I'm curious if your paths ever crossed before this.
No, but it was so interesting because Mary reminded me in the makeup trailer that the last show I did was Mozart in the Jungle with Malcolm McDowell, and she has two children with Malcolm McDowell. They used to be married,
Mhm.
and but they had great love for each other still. Before she was married to Ted Dancing, obviously. So in a roundabout way, I mean,
Yeah.
I got to work with, and I adore both of them. So, what are the odds of that? I mean, and I had all my scenes, most of my scenes with Mary, and I just couldn't have asked for a lovelier partner. She's such a fabulous actress, and I adore her. So it was all such a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yeah. Well, in this second season, you come back as Deb, and you're trying to get Maggie back out there, Mary's character Maggie, to sort of live a little. First of all, was there any trepidation on your part about returning, considering I know the second season was shot during the pandemic?
Oh, well, that was interesting. I wanted to come
Mm,
back. I wanted to do it, and I knew that I'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks, but I didn't realize what that meant actually. Because I get to the hotel and I said, "Oh well, I can take walks." I said, "No, no, you can't take walks. You have to stay in your room." I said, "Oh, and my assistant Patty, she can come to my." "No, she can't come to your room." I said, "Oh, all right. Well, I'll have room service." "No, you can't have room service." It's like, really? Okay. And I called and I said, "So now how do I eat?" He goes, "Well, we suggest you call like DoorDash." So then you call DoorDash and you order your dinner, and the guy is looking for an apartment building, and I have to say, "No, no, it's the hotel. Just leave it at the front desk." And then the concierge comes up to your room, knocks on the door, leaves it there and runs away.
Right.
And then of course but it's quite an emotional test because you're locked away. You're locked away basically for 2 weeks without seeing anyone, and you can't leave the room. So I watched Stanley Tucci eating his way through Italy, basically.
Wow. Good choice. Yes. Well, you have a really fun performance in this episode that you submitted. You sing Cheap Thrills by Sia, and her songs could be quite a challenge. Can you recall the recording process for that song and, whether doing more of a pop song like that felt different for you?
It was fun. It was so much fun. I thought, what is this song? Can I do it? And then I went, oh, I love this song because she then did a reggae version of it, which I love
Right.
reggae, and it's just a good song about what she wrote about, and just so much fun. So, I mean, I dabbled in pop music when I years ago when I had a few albums out. So I just love to sing all kinds of music as long as it's good,
Yeah.
and it's good. So that's I had a great time.
Well, the studio version that you recorded is pretty straightforward, but then the performance we see in the episode, it has these moments that feel like almost improv, where there's one point where you're stopping to swig a drink at one point. There's a part where you like suddenly deepen your voice in this funny way. How much of those little moments were on the page versus just, your own
Well,
ideas for the
the
scene?
taking a drink was on the page. The deepening my
Hmm.
voice, they were so great. They let me do it live because I love to sing live. And when I
Yeah.
was, doing it and working on it, it just happened. The deep voice thing happened, and where I take the swig in the middle of the word and what word I don't say, that just sort of happened naturally. And I just love doing that rather than lip syncing. Is very hard to be spontaneous. So they were so accommodating and let me just sing it live, which was so much fun. So
Yeah.
much fun.
Well, speaking of fun, you have a few very fun scenes at the casino where you and Mary are going out for a night on the town, and you're both kind of assuming these different identities, putting on these different accents. Can you talk about filming those scenes with Mary?
It was great because Mary's character up to that point had been so sad and kind of internalizing a lot, and I'm a widow that comes along and says, "Come on now, it's time just to live life, break loose, and you don't have to be Maggie with the the voicemail that's still kind of the sad. You could be whoever you want. In fact, why don't you make up a new persona?" So I encourage her to go to the casino, and I'm made up I forgot what my name was, and then I'm from the South, and then she and I assumed this Southern accent, and then she assumes this Southern. She's Savannah from Savannah.
From
I was like, oh
Savannah.
my God, could you be any more creative than that? Can you invent anything else? So she had a ball. She absolutely had a ball, and so did I. I
Hmm.
really, it was just, I love playing different types of characters, and this character is so not me. I mean, she's gregarious and an extrovert, which is totally the opposite of who I am. So you go, oh, wow, that was interesting. That was like, wow, just way out there. Okay, that's kind of freeing. So it's really fun to do things that are just not like you at all.
Mhm. Yeah, I bet. And you are also in the next episode where you perform with Mary on Rich Girl
Yeah.
by Gwen Stefani, and you even do some choreography with her, which is pretty fun. What was that rehearsal process like with her?
Oh, so much fun. And Rich, if I was a rich girl by Gwen Stefani is a play on if I were a rich man.
Right.
And I had to unlearn the song that I've been so used to growing up, being a Broadway baby.
Hmm.
And she was so clever Gwen Stefani to appropriate that and make it her own, and it just was fun. And it also came out of a really fun scene where Maggie um, just kept going. I kept catching her. I realized she was going to the casinos without me and gambling, and she couldn't stop winning. She kept winning and winning and winning. So she finally admits to me she has all this money, and she doesn't know. And I'm trying to encourage her to like do something fun with it. Like she wants to put a new roof on, and she wants to make a donation, which is lovely. But then finally we convince her, let's take a cruise. Let's have let's live life. So that would have been fun.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was upsetting to see the news that the show is canceled, so there won't be a third season. I mean, that's the last scene we see of Deb and Maggie just kind of planning the cruise.
Yeah.
Did you think at all, or sort of imagine the future of what it would have looked like for Deb and Maggie if you got the chance to maybe explore more?
Well, I mean, I think Deb should just move in with Maggie. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
She should just move in and probably be a pain in the neck eventually, and they should have to throw her out. But try and probably be a little too controlling. But loosen Maggie up a lot and have fun, which Maggie needed, and maybe go on a cruise. Although Mary and I both admitted we get terribly seasick. We both have awful. We get awful seasickness. So I don't know about that. Maybe a river cruise.
That's true. Who knows? Maybe they even go into business together with all that money.
Exactly. It could have
Yeah.
been, the sky's the limit. Who knows?
Yeah.
I was looking forward to having more scenes with Mary and with
Yeah.
Jane, who's a brilliant actress and just a fabulous performer and did such a great, everyone. So musically brilliant, really, truly. It
Yeah.
was a great privilege to be on the show.
I was talking with so many of the cast and crew, and they just poured their heart and soul into this show. So
Oh,
really
yes.
rough news
And
cancellation.
the premise where Peter Gallagher is dying with this awful disease, and
Yeah.
but yet Jane, who plays his daughter, can hear what he's thinking inside his soul, and that's such a beautiful thing because we also talk about people that are in comas and how we're discovering perhaps. Actually, I spoke to a woman that was in a coma and came out of it, and she said, I I actually did. I didn't. I heard what you said to me, and they said I didn't say it. I was thinking it.
My gosh.
Yeah, and she got it from what the person was thinking. So we don't. There's so much that we don't know, but and then to have Jane, uh, her emotions about saying goodbye, like what am I going to do when you're gone? What am I going to do without you? She sang that song to her father, and Peter came back this season also in her dreams. I think it was in her dream, but all that is just so beautiful about life and what we don't know, what we do know, and how we need to just open our minds a little bit more. So that part of the show is very beautiful, and actually was was the showrunner's his father had that disease. It's a very
Hmm.
kind of rare disease and died from it. So it was his story.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
That's so
And right. And while I have you here, I also just wanted to talk about another project of yours from the past, which is more relevant again, which was the 1997 version of Cinderella that you did with Whitney Houston and Brandy and Whoopi Goldberg, just a phenomenal cast. I think it's now sort of being introduced to this whole new generation because it was added to Disney Plus earlier
yeah,
this year.
yeah.
So a lot of people are discovering it. I was just going to ask if you can think back on that experience. What's the thing that just immediately comes to mind?
I just had such a ball playing someone's wicked like that, but with a sense of comedy where you can play that where you draw it in Crayola instead of charcoal,
Yeah.
where you're allowed to be a little broader. You always have to be grounded in a sense of reality, which it was. But the fun of it was, you know, loop de loo in Crayola, and had a great time, just a great time with the cast, and Whoopi was just inspiring what she did, and Jason Alexander, I had so many scenes with him, and we had so much fun.
Yeah.
So it was, and I'm so happy to see that Brandy is now coming into her own again, and happy for her about that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, because we're an awards website and you're no stranger to awards, I wanted to just ask, if you had a favorite, award show memory, between your Tony nominations and your wins, your Emmy nominations, Grammy nominations, just one of those nights that just felt particularly special to you for whatever reason.
I think the first time you win a Tony or anything, basically, I guess, but I won my first Tony for a show called Song and Dance,
Mhm.
which was basically a one woman, the whole first act was one woman, just myself out there talking to all these people that were not on stage. And so thrilling when they called my name and I got to get up there and thank everyone, thanking, because everyone makes a show work, from the ushers to the crew, because if the crew is in focus, everything, all the focus has to be on the stage, and if the crew isn't focused on the stage, then you hear there's noises, people are talking, there's ruffles in out in the audience. It's all the energy goes to what's happening on stage, so everybody's there to make it work, and it was nice to be able to thank everybody for that.
Yeah. Well, because you're so immersed in the theater world, obviously the Broadway community was hit very hard by the pandemic. I was
Yes.
wondering, before I let you go, if you'd be willing to discuss just what the past year was like for you in the community and now what the feeling is like now that there's some hope again.
Well, I worried a lot about people, our young people, or not even our young people, our community that were making a living from
Yeah.
being in shows, and then the show shuts down, and now they can't pay their rent and they can't buy food. So we all of us were working very hard to raise money for the Actors Fund. In fact, I put my concert that I did in, I forgot what year it was. It was a live concert for Broadway Cares, and but it was never shown on, it was never streamed. So we put that up to raise money for the Actors Fund. So we did that, and uh, so we all did as much as we could to, and then all of us did so much to try to raise money for the Actors Fund, because that was my main concern. A lot of people had to go home to their families because they couldn't afford to stay in New York. Uh, and so now we're hoping now that we're figuring out. I mean, I went to see Bruce Springsteen,
Uh,
but they asked that the whole audience show proof of being vaccinated,
mhm.
and we did. And tonight I'm going to go see the president of the Actors Fund, Brian Stokes Mitchell, at Lincoln Center. And you have to show proof of being vaccinated. Now, I don't know about when Broadway opens. They haven't decided yet, I don't think,
Mm.
if they're going to require that or what they're going to do. But I still I think it's important to keep wearing your mask because we have this upsurgence now with the new variant, and we just have to be careful. But I mean, it will come back,
Yes.
and I guess it's not up to me to decide how what's required of the audience. But they're still working it out, and they've put in the theaters a lot of air filter systems that clean the air. So that's good to know also, because those theaters are really old.
Yeah.
Yeah, have years of whatever living in them. So that was good too on many counts. But we can't wait for theater to come back.
Yeah, I can't either. Well, for those of you watching, subscribe for more interviews and go to goldderby.com to make your Emmy predictions. Bernadette, such a pleasure getting to speak with you today. Thank you so much.
And you too. Thank you so much.